grace leads me here. Lead me to your door. The wild and windy night that the rain washed away has left a pool of tears, crying for the dead. Why leave me standing here? Let me know the way. Many times I've been alone, and many times I've cried. Anyway, you'll never know the many ways I've tried, but still they lead me back to the long winding road. You left me standing here a long, long time ago. Don't leave me waiting here. Lead me to your door. Many times I've been alone, and many times I've cried. Anyway, you'll never know the many ways I've tried, but still they lead me back to the long winding road. You left me standing here long, long time ago. Don't leave me waiting here. Lead me to your door.
Good morning, good morning. I'm going to let the opening words today come from my closed eyes and an open heart with open arms to radiate gratitude for all those who showed up this morning. There are a lot of places you could be, but you chose to be here. And for that we are grateful. Special nod to those folks who came from afar. I also want to acknowledge a special nod of gratitude to Paul and to Tanya for last week's worship service. Can we give them a little applause? I watched it this morning, and tickled my innards. And I have a request, if you too, because I always remind folks this is a shared ministry, and I look out there and I see somewhere between 1,000 and 1,500 years of lived wisdom and experience. It is welcome here. So see me. We'd love to hear your story, your insights, your wisdom. That's what we're about here. Okay? Speaking of us, take a look at your order of service. And open her up, and there you will see our shared affirmation of mission, some version of who are we. And it goes like this. Please repeat it along with me. This fellowship is a welcoming, diverse, and nurturing, beloved community that promotes progressive religious thought and practice to create a more just, and sustainable world. And as I like to say, the whole enchilada. Let our ripples go acknowledge that. Time for announcements, and I'm going to have a couple, and I want to invite anyone who has an announcement to feel free to come up to the microphone. Of course, stay masked. Please, Carolyn.
I'm Carolyn Cavanaugh, for those who are new here. And I am part of the Widening the Circle Champions, along with Reverend Anthony and Tanya and Paul. And who am I missing?
Barbara.
Barbara Warren. Okay. And we are presenting films for the year on all kinds of topics. And the first film is called Disclosure. It's on Netflix, and it is about the trans community and how they're represented in the media. It was recommended by J.J. O'Brien, for those people who know J.J. And it really opened up my mind how easy it is to stereotype a community, and I highly recommend it. And we will be having a discussion. Right now we're talking about Zoom, and we would love for you to watch the movie. And if you want to let us know by February 13th, that's helpful. But we haven't quite set the time and day yet for the Zoom meeting. But we're hoping that we get a lot of participation. And then the following month, we will have another offering. So hopefully a lot of you can join us. Thank you.
Thank you, Tara. That film again is Disclosure, and it's on Netflix.
Good morning.
Good morning.
This is the time of year where we always are grateful to the leadership of this fellowship, to the board and the committees that help get our name out there and serve us. And the Leadership Development Committee, this is the time of year that we start looking for who will also take up that mantle as we go forward. So please, I urge anybody who has an interest in serving our fellowship in any position, even if you think that that position is, not available or something, don't let that stop you. Approach us, come to us before we come to you, because we will. But please, think about how our community functions and how we all help each other and work for each other, and we are only as strong as the service that we provide. So thank you. Seriously consider it. See me afterwards. If there's any possibility that you have been interested in stepping up into a leadership position in our fellowship, it'd be most appreciated.
Well, I want to remind us that the SUUF book group, our book of choice is The Indigenous People's History of the United States, which will be kicking off at the end of February, slowed it down from January to give some room for the Omicron to do whatever it needs to do. Cora Shore has an announcement for us. The Outreach Committee again expresses its thanks for all the wonderful folks and the responses to the recent fundraiser that we held for Hope House. Y'all may recall that we built a bathroom for folks that were staying in Hope House. So congrats to you. Thank you all again. We will have another opportunity in March to provide some hands-on help to get Hope House set up and ready for the first 3 families that will be moving in. So thank you all again. Sedona Food Bank has contacted us to request our participation in the Kids Backpack program again this year. We will be a part of that. Stay tuned for the Kids Backpack program. I remind you to always check out the February newsletter. Michelle lives inside my head. She's reminded me. And you get more information about these and other topics there. Well, this is the umbrella in which we gather. Who shall light this chalice? With the rekindling of this flame, let us all recommit ourselves to accepting life's gifts with grace and with gratitude. and to use those gifts to bless the world in a spirit of love. And it be so.
Morally, I was led to nonviolence because I felt that it was the best moral way to deal with the problem. We were seeking to establish a just society. And it was my feeling then, and it is my feeling now, that violence is certainly much more socially destructive, and it creates many more social problems than it solves. So I was led to nonviolence for deep moral reasons. And I turned to it because I felt that it was the morally excellent way to deal with the problem of racial injustice in our country.
There is no freedom, the wise man said, let justice roll down when the poor cry out for shelter and bread. Let justice roll down like a mighty stream. Oh, children, don't you get weary, walk together, believe in the dream. When the way gets rough, we'll make a new way. Let justice roll down like a mighty stream. Hatred will never drive out hate. Let love roll down, roll down. Remember, our hearts can make us great. Let love roll down like a mighty stream. Oh, children, don't you get weary, walk together, believe in the dream. When the way gets rough, we'll make a new way. And let your love roll down like a mighty stream. When brutality threatens our daughters and sons, let peace roll down, roll down. May our voices rise up louder than the guns. Let peace roll down like a mighty stream. Oh, children, don't you get weary, walk together, believe in the dream. When the way gets rough, we'll make a new way. And let peace roll down like a mighty stream. Step by step, one by one, let justice roll down, roll down. They can kill the prophet, but the dream lives on. Let justice roll down like a mighty stream. Oh, children, don't you get weary, walk together, believe in the dream. When the way gets rough, we'll make a new way. Let justice roll down like a mighty stream.
I turned to it because I felt that it was the morally excellent way to deal with the problem of racial injustice in our country.
Reverend Morrison Read was co-minister with his wife in 2 UU congregations in Rochester and Toronto. In addition to his ministerial duties, he was a prolific writer. One of his books was Black Pioneers in a White Denomination. So here are these words from Dr. Reverend Mark for us this morning. The central task of the religious community is to unveil the bonds that bind each to all. There is a connectedness, a relationship discovered amid the particulars of our own lives and the lives of others. Once felt, it inspires us to act for justice. It is the church that assures us that we are not struggling for justice on our own, but as members of a larger community. the religious community is essential, for alone our vision is too narrow to see all that must be seen, and our strength too limited to do all that must be done. Together our vision widens and our strength is renewed.
Thank you, Joe. That's my hero there, in case you wonder. I want to be like Joe Wine when I grow up. Reminding us that our strength, in fact, is together. I know you're bad, you're powerful by yourself, all but together, it's a whole nother kettle of fish. So good morning again and welcome to the Sedona Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. We don't say church. I got some folks out there that was listening. We say fellowship to distinguish ourselves. So I welcome you in the name of the ancestors upon whose shoulders I stand, as I always do. And it is always an honor, and I do mean that, and a pleasure and an honor to be able to share this space with you on this beautiful morning. As many of you know, my personal appreciation for Unitarian Universalism, which I just discovered in the year 2012, 10 years later, here I am. I heard a phrase in this exact spot by my colleague and brother Glenn Farley, and it stayed in my head. It had a lot to do with why I'm in your face. It said some version of, we do not ask what you believe. We don't expect you to think the way we do. But we are UUs, and we do have something. Now that's not in there, but I put that in there. We ask that you try and live a kind and a helpful life with the dignity proper to that of a human being. That's all we ask. So welcome all who believe that religion is wider than any sect. Any sect. And welcome all who believe that religion is deeper than any set of opinions, even my own. So welcome all who might find in our friendship and in this fellowship what? Strength. Joe talked about it. We strength and encouragement for daily living. And hopefully in this hour you'll walk away with something you can use. Because y'all know my phrase, it don't mean a thing
If it ain't got that swing.
if it ain't got that swing. It don't mean a thing.
You all said that when you said that. That's your thing.
That's right. It don't mean a thing if it ain't got that swing. Translation, something you can use. That's my charge for me. You could be at home, eating some oatmeal, cream of wheat, playing with your honey's toes, doing all kinds of stuff. But you chose to be here, so we owe it to you. I ought to give you some. Yeah. So today's story, always one that just thrills my heart. I've spoken on it before. And we're talking about it in honoring of our February. As black folks, we get 1 month, shortest one in a year, but we'll take it. And I'm going to take an acorn, because black history is way before Americans. It's like an acorn in a forest of 1 million trees, over 1 million acres, over 100,000 years, over 6,000 languages, and 55 countries. Africa ain't no country. But for this morning, we're going to just take a little sliver and talk a little bit about 1,000 Miles to Freedom, which is from the book Running 1,000 Miles to Freedom by William and Ellen Craft. I have called this sermon Of Bones and Sinew in earlier times. Of bones and sinew, because that's what it speaks to. They were brave and fervent warriors for justice. Warriors for justice. And their story is a story of justice and of love. But at the end of the day, this ain't nothing but a love story. It's a love story that takes place, however, in the peculiar institution, as has been phrased throughout our history, of American slavery. That peculiar institution. I'm reminded now of the spiritual tradition of the Dagara people of Burkina Faso in West Africa, who believe that our memory are stored not in our brain, but in our bones. In fact, we have a fancy name for it in my culture. We call it DNA. So when I heard the story of Ellen and William, it resonated in my bones. It resonated in my bones. The words of William Craft, I mentioned earlier, bone and sinew. Here are his words. It is true that our condition as slaves were not by any means the worst. But the thought that we could not call the bones and sinews that God gave us our own. But above all, the fact that another man had the power to tear from our cradle the newborn babe and sell it in the shambles like a brute. And then he would scourge us if we dared to lift a finger to save it from such a fate. This haunted Ellen and I for years. So 1,000 Miles to Freedom refers to Ellen and William's pursuit of justice and love and freedom, which led to an adventurous escape from what one could call that perpetual haunting. Call it a perpetual haunting. It was a haunting to honor their desire to experience the love of each other. And the love of, I'm going to drop a hint, of future generations as free human beings. Their story is but one of the many love stories caught in the grips of this peculiar institution. 'Tis a true story. I also want to highlight that magic couple's relationship with a Unitarian Universalist minister by the name of Theodore Parker. How many of y'all heard of Theodore Parker? Good. I offer that as a template, that relationship as a template and a reflection upon racial justice in the 21st century, where we find ourselves right now. But for a moment, can you imagine what it felt like with your newborn baby sleeping next to you and you knowing that he or she could be? Here's the phrase. Legally taken away. At a moment's notice or without any notice at all. So I can picture Ellen and William plotting, sweating, and eventually winning their freedom and honoring their love for one another. You know, this peculiar institution was like no other type of slavery in human history. Remember, Spartacus was a slave. Moses was a slave. Slaves throughout Africa, throughout Asia, throughout time, immemorial. We've always had slavery. You always got knuckleheads like me, what I call penis carriers. Men who want to subjugate other men. Ain't nothing new. New wrinkle with this peculiar one. You ain't no human no more. Never was anyone's humanity stripped, relegated. You might have been a Hausa or a Fulani or Celt or Druid. We came and kicked your butt. But like Spartacus and Moses, you could come up out of that. You could be a hero. You could fight your way out. Intellectual, you could get out of that. Not this one. Peculiar institution. So I say it was like, what was it like? It was like being an orphan among millions of orphans for many generations. Get your head and heart around that. Orphans among all orphans for many generations, and orphans who may have known who their mother was. Didn't matter. They saw them taken away from them, or perhaps they were taken away themselves at a moment's notice, or as I say, no notice at all, with no notice at all, not at all. You see, their feelings didn't matter, they didn't matter. After all, they were not people, they were property. So William Craft worked as a cabinet maker. You alluded to that earlier, that as a slave he didn't have it so bad, relatively speaking. He had a valuable trade. He was a cabinet maker. Occupation allowed him a certain amount of limited autonomy that few slaves were fortunate enough to experience. Ellen, his beloved, worked as a lady's slave, a position of favoritism within the White household where she was enslaved. So here you go. It was 4 days before Christmas in 1848. And it was a tradition, good slaves were allowed. Trusted good slaves were allowed Christmas time off. Like especially people like Ellen and William. So that's over 2 years is when they plotted their escape. How did they do that? So, 4 days before Christmas in 1848, William and Ellen obtained passes from their respective masters to travel to the next town for the holiday. That day there began their harrowing and life-threatening journey. They were using the money that William had saved as a cabinet maker. They bought 2 first-class tickets on the train in Savannah. Different kind of railroad. How do you think they pulled that off? You're a slave. They showed up about 2 first-class tickets. How they pulled it off? Well, they pulled it off because Ellen was a light-skinned African-American who could pass for white. Like my great aunties. Because my mama tells me the story. I was about 4 years old. We lived in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. And we went down to Gulfport to visit some relatives. And I embarrassed my mom, because after we'd been there a while, I said, Mom, who's these white ladies? Those your aunties, boy. Yeah, my mom's name is Ruth, and Little Ruth, that's what they call her. My mom was Big Ruth. She could pass for Carolyn Cavanaugh's sister in a heartbeat. And I said, Mom, who is this? My mom had chilled me out. So that's the way that goes. So she and William traveled first class, posing as master and slave. But now check this out. Posing as a white woman, black man. What do you think? Not. So in light of our transgender stuff, love to share the story with JJ. Ellen became a white man. Can you imagine? I imagine what she had to do, the role she had to play, the voice she had to be, the body movement and stuff she had to pull off. She became a white man. He was her slave. And they traveled first class from Savannah all the way to Boston. Can you believe that? Just unbelievable. That was a small detail though. Come on now. Look at your order service. Take a peek. Put that. That's a depiction of them. That's Ellen on your left. You see those two white things on the side that look like part of the suit or whatever she's got on? Then there's a big white thing in the middle. What do you think that is? What do you think that other big white thing is there? Say again, I heard it. Yeah, why would she need a sling? You see, it was against the law for black people to read or to write. It was against the law. So how in the heck was Ellen going to sign for them tickets and getting on the boat? Let alone he needs somewhere to stay in an inn or something like that. How is she gonna? She can't write. What do you think Ellen did? Ain't no problem. She put that right arm in a sling and said, "I'm a white man with a broke arm." Oh, yes, she did. Ain't that something? They went on about their business. They traveled by first-class train and steamboat through the coast of South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, D.C., and Maryland, arriving in Philadelphia on Christmas Day, 1848. The craft spent 3 weeks with some wonderful Quaker folks who took them in, gave them food, gave them shelter, gave them love. It was January of 1849, 100 years before I was born, January, birthday last week. They arrived in Boston after traveling 1,000 miles seeking their love and freedom. When they got to Boston, they stayed at the home of a man named Louis Hayden, free black man who owned the boarding house that served as a stop on the Underground Railroad. But doggone it, it didn't take the masters long. In 1850, they passed another law. Anybody remember that one? Kurt ain't in here today. The Fugitive Slave Law. So up come the folks from the agents coming to regain their property. All the way in Boston. They want to return this couple to their rightful owners. Well, black Bostonians and their white allies band together. They had another idea. The slave catchers, they confronted them at their hotel room, warned them that their lives were in danger, and John Hughes and William Knight, those two agents, got their hand and left the city. This was called the Boston The Boston Vigilance Committee included black folks and white folks, whose mission was, and I want to quote it, to secure the colored inhabitants of Boston from any invasion of their rights in the fort. So the committee members got together and said, "We're going to steal you all away. Come on. We can take you over to Reverend Theodore Parker's house so you can be safe." Well, Reverend Parker heard that the slave catchers had threatened to break into his house at night. By the way, even though they sent those agents away, he was still subject to federal law and federal martial. But Reverend Parker was determined to keep the slave catchers out, and he kept a loaded pistol at the ready. Now, there were some Unitarian Universalist ministers who criticized Reverend Parker for what? Breaking the law. There's that law again. What's legal? Now, you know what Reverend Parker said. Theodore said, "I have in my church black men and women, fugitive slaves. They are the crown of my apostleship. The seal of my ministry. It becomes to me to look after their bodies in order to save their souls. This fugitive slave law has brought us into the most intimate connection with the sin of slavery. Now, I've been obliged to take my own parishioners into my house to keep them out of the clutches of the kidnapper. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I have been obliged to do that and to keep my doors guarded by day as well as by night. And yes, I've had to arm myself. I have written my sermons with a pistol in my desk, loaded and ready for action. That's what Reverend Parker said. I got this vision of him, as he looked, slaves upstairs, he down there, writing the sermon, writing stuff on Thursday evening, right? Got his gun sitting there. If you want them, you got to go through me. I want to tell you about another person who read everything Theodore Parker wrote. This man's name is William Herndon. William Herndon. You may not have heard of him. He's an attorney. But I dare say you know his partner, his attorney partner, one named Abraham Lincoln. So Mr. Herndon would send everything that Parker wrote to his partner, Abraham Lincoln. In one sermon, Herndon had underlined a passage that he thought Abraham Lincoln might be interested in. And that quote was, "Democracy is direct self-government over all the people, for all the people, by all the people." Yeah, why you own. That's his quote. Another Theodore Parker quote may ring a bell with you. We ascribe it to none other than Martin Luther King himself. But Theodore said, quote, "I do not pretend to understand the moral universe. The arc is a long one. My eye reaches but little ways. I can't even calculate the curve and complete the figure by the experience of my sight. But I can divine it by my conscience. And from what I see, I am sure it bends towards justice. Mr. Parker. So Mr. Parker married the Crafts in 1846, even though they had jumped the broom and been living earlier for many years. But they were not through yet. They wanted to live in a country where they could be free, where their children would never ever be subjugated to be snatched away by the brutes. So they said, Mr. Parker, we got to go to England. So they left there, went to Nova Scotia, and made their way to Liverpool. In 1851, they were at the Great Exhibition, or kind of like the World's Fair. And you see throngs of Londoners coming to see the two slaves from America. They were like a big hit at the exhibition. They wanted to see them. Who would they see? They were now free people. And there, Ellen and William sang a song. They sang, "God Save the Queen," to thank heaven for having escaped from the slave catchers. Now, I want to read you something. I read that story and it blew my mind. And then on February 1st of 2020, I got the following email. I was the minister at Humboldt UU at that time, another fellowship. It said, "Hello, Reverend Johnson. My name is Angela Nye, and I'm one of the local descendants of William Hillgrave." Here she is right here, because couldn't get the picture to go up on it. She said, "I live in San Francisco." And then she said, "I keep a Google alert." She's one of them new young techie folks. "I keep a Google alert. I keep it on all the time whenever the name comes up. And I always want to see who is representing their story in a creative way." They've had 2 state senators, about 6 PhDs, 2 judges, since in their family. Y'all excuse me. She says, my family is very involved with our history, but there are several ancestors of note who I just mentioned. Anyway, I'm sure you will have a great service prepared for tomorrow, and I hope it goes well. I looked at the church website. It seems like a wonderful community. Hope you have a very nice, interesting, or you have a nice, interesting background yourself. Next time I drive up the coast, I'll wave. Well, you know, Sam, you know what I did, don't you, Sam? Wave, hell. You ain't gonna be waving at me when you just drop something like that on me. Where you at? I'm gonna get in your face, like right away. Because I think you just told me you were the great-great-great-granddaughter of William and Ellen Crabb, who blew me away with their story. So Liddy and I got in the car. We went down there. We took her to dinner. And I can't make this up. This morning, Lydia is down, but she ain't here. She said, at the Tucson gym show, you know, she's a crystal gym loving person. That's just the way they go. She got a text from Angela Niles this morning saying that she's moving to North Carolina. She was moving at the time that Lydia texted her, that I texted her. But anyway, so how about that for a story, man? Woo! So you know I gotta leave you with a poem. Because all that says to you, Black Lives Matter. Do matter. Be like matter. Be like matter. Don't scatter. Let us gather our hearts that will not tatter. Never mind all that dissonant chatter. We know we are different fruit, but we also know we come from the same cosmic matter. Touch your hearts. I'm going to give you a little beat just like this. Please, keep it going. Gather hearts that will not tatter. Keep it going. Never mind the distant chatter. We know we are different fruit, all made from the same cosmic matter. You see, there is only one class of people, the class of the heart. There's only one nation of people, the nation of the heart. There is only one gender of people, people of the heart. There is only one race, race of the heart. May it be so. Blessed be. Amen. Ashe. So let us share a moment of silence together, please. Dare I say, all of us have been warmed by fires that we did not build. We have drank at wells that we did not dig. So in gratitude of our many, many blessings and our many needs, this morning's offering for this congregation, for this fellowship, for this community will now be received.
Brother
the weight of this world with pride.
I am humble and I'm confused. There is no mountain I've found here that I can move. And you say, sweet love, your heart's great. So will you follow it closely and let it show you your fate, and keep playing for love, playing for peace, playing for light, come down and set me free, playing to save, oh, we're playing for change, playing for peace. I'll keep playing for love, praying for peace, praying for life, come down and set me free, praying to save, praying for change, praying for peace. I am praying for peace. We are 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 oh, we're praying for change. We are praying for change.
Now is the time to hear the joys and the concerns of the hearts and minds of this community. So let me jump this off quick with the first joy, just a second. I just want to acknowledge the joy of seeing some faces I haven't seen in a while and new faces to our community. So we won't do like we used to do, we ain't passing no mics around. But this is your first time stopping through to see us. Would you raise your hand so we might welcome you out loud and on purpose? Yeah. Thank you. You're welcome.
I just wanted us to take a moment to remember Barbara Luttrell. Her birthday was 2 days ago on February 4th. She left us, too soon this past summer. And I just urge everybody to please take a moment today to think of her, everything that she gave to our community, and just think of her with gratitude and send her love, please. And the second concern is I just want to let people know that Ann Crossman is facing some health issues at the moment, so it would be very kind if people would take a moment to just send her an email, let her know that you're thinking of her. Thank you.
My name is Sam Kirkland. I share joy and sorrow. I'm joyful that my friend Anthony Mtuaswa Johnson invited me up here for his African American history service today. It was so much more than that. Thank you. And the sorrow I share is that my dad's sister, Aileen Kirkland, she passed. It leaves now 10 children that Sam and Dawsey had. Now there are 2 children left, Sam, my dad, and his sister Dorothy. So keep him in your thoughts and prayers. He's a stoic kind of guy, but any well wishes anybody can send him from across the universe, it would be appreciated. Thank you.
Something cool. Can you tell me his name again?
My dad?
Who just passed?
Oh no, it's his sister.
What's her name?
Ernestine, her name is Aileen Kirkland.
Aileen Kirkland.
Yes.
Y'all know how we do it. Raise your right hand, please. I want to demo one time. We're going to do Aileen Kirkland, but all together. Aileen Kirkland. Aileen Kirkland. Aileen Kirkland. What's the story?
my name's Barbara, and this is not my first time here, but it is my second time here. I live south of here, and I felt so very welcome the first time I visited that with much joy in my heart, I'm here for the second time.
Bless you. Welcome back. Yeah. Oh, welcome back.
My name is Maudel Terry, and this is my first time here. And thank you. And I want to talk about my half-brother, Billy, or William Bolden. And he made history because he was the first black quarterback for UCLA.
Ooh, bless him.
And he passed last month on the 10th. I was talking to him on the 8th. We had a wonderful conversation. And then on the 10th, he was sitting watching TV with his wife and just dropped dead. And I think that's a great way to go for him. Very shocking for us. So I would like you to remember the name William Bill Bolden, UCLA. And you know they have all this lawsuit going on with the NFL. And it was a long time before blacks could become quarterbacks because they didn't think we were smart enough. But Billy was the first at UCLA. I've already said that. Thank you.
Thank you, Maudel. Can we say that? Can I do a Billy Bolden?
Yes.
Let's do it. Billy Bolden. Billy Bolden. Billy Bolden. Bless his soul. You know, I would be remiss if I didn't comment on what I call the anti-gangplank theory of death. That is the indigenous, Native American, and other indigenous people in African worldview of death, that death is a part of life. Unlike you, I've been given that gangplank idea. Here I am walking around through life, and all of a sudden, oh, boom, blam, I'm gone. No, another way to consider. Death, life, same hand. Native American brothers remind today's a good day to die. In fact, you will never live until you die. It's called initiation of dying. You survive it, it's okay. My point about it, let's be clear, I want to be here longer than long. Okay? Let's be clear. But understanding what the freedom it might give us to understand death as a part of life. We all get a turn. If there's anything we have in common, it might be that. All right. Anybody else, please? Let's share.
Good morning. I'm very concerned about Jamie Marini. She's been ill a long time. She's lost a lot of weight, and I'm hoping that she recovers and gets better. I just learned recently that she broke her back, and so she's in a lot of pain, and I have to think good thoughts for her.
Yes, we will.
And for Tony as well.
So it would also remind us to keep Shelley Burke in our thoughts. She and her husband Al have returned to the home in Colorado while she is recovering from a broken femur. She's healing well. There are many challenges in caring for herself and Al, but happily their son is available to help. So let's put up that last stone in for all the joys and concerns that still remain unspoken. We chose to keep them where they are. So our mission song, if you will.
A new way
people down on Meadowlark Drive on Sunday morning around 10 o'clock talking about trying to build a new way. So I see building in front of me. I see building a new way behind me. I see it to the left of me. Ah, there it is to the right of me. I can see building a new way in front of me, and I can feel it coming from the Great Mother down below me. And I know it will come to fruition when it comes from me, as I offer the same for you. So until we are together again, go forward in peace. May it be so.